Welcome to the comprehensive DDD support guide. Our company has expanded and we must learn to use our newest employees to the fullest. So in this on and off series, I will explain everything you need to know to conquer the dueling world once more with capitalism.
Oh, so you finally decided to wake up. I've been watching you shuffle papers in our little enterprise for some time now.
Not this again. Where am I? And who are you?
Who am I? I am the queen of this dimension. The one who built the empire your trembling hands are barely holding together.
Queen? Wait, what does it mean? Who?
Mechanics is my son, a flying machine, once. But his ambition dulled, his empire stagnated. So I've returned to take control.
Your son? Machinex is your son?
I am Zero Mechanics. Now, kneel.
Wait, why should I?
I said kneel.
Holy, okay, I'm kneeling. How can I serve you?
Is that how you address your queen?
No, of course not. Forgive me. I meant, how may I be of service, your majesty?
Much better. I have a task for you. The dimensions are fractured, the timeline weak. It's time we claim them all, and reminded these pathetic realms what true power looks like.
With all due respect, your majesty, but our personnel is running thin, and we don't have the resources anymore.
You'll have mine, my knights, my personal guard. Use them well, or die trying. Are we clear?
Yes, crystal clear, your majesty.
Good. Then stop wasting oxygen and get to work. Disperse.
You know what? At this point, I'm just not mad anymore. Part 3. Post-Doom of Dimensions. How's it going, everyone? This is Different Dimension Dreamer, and today is the day. Our prayers for new employees has been heard, and KONAMI 8. Doom of Dimensions is the next cover set and we are the cover theme. And that means we have 9 new cards to work with. Yes, you've heard me right, we have 9 now. And this time they didn't just bring over measurement equipment, but instead the whole freaking kingdom. And today we're going to analyze each and every one of them. But of course, not only that. In this video, I'll provide you a lot of sample combos so that you can get a really good first impression on how our new employees impact our company. So without further ado, let's start with the card by card. First off, DD Land Soldier. It is a Dark Fiend level 2 monster with 400 attack and 400 defense. And as you can see, he's a tuner as well. So what does he do? Well, the first effect is pretty straightforward. When he's in the grave, you can pop a contract to special him out again. But if you do that, he will get banished from the field when he leaves it. Does that sound familiar to you? Well, yeah, it's kinda like Lamia. The only difference is it can't special itself out from the hand like Lamia. But on the flip side again, he's level 2. Meaning, any level 4 in him makes a level 6 synchro. And now you might ask, well, we don't have any level 6 synchro. Just be patient, KONAMI thought of that. Now to his second effect. And when he's on your field, you can increase the level of one of your DD monsters by the total amount of the contracts that are either on your field or on your graveyard. And does that sound familiar to you? Well, it kinda reminds us of Vice King Requiem and Baphomet, because of its level modulation effect. But in this case, this card is way more versatile than the other ones. And you will see just in a couple of minutes that this guy is a very cool extender. On to the next card, DD Defense Soldier. He's a level 4 Dark Fiend with 0 attack and 1800 defense. And first things first, level 4 is a great level. When this guy is on the field, he can target and special a pen monster from the scale. This monster has to be DD of course, but the effect itself is pretty great. Additionally, if this guy is in your graveyard, you can banish him, and with that, you can add a face-up extra deck DD monster or from the graveyard. This time you can just trigger it yourself, which is pretty awesome. And here's the rhetoric question again, does that remind you of one effect? And yeah, Patent License had a very similar effect like that as well. The only difference though is that the Defense Soldier can only do it for Pendulum DD monsters. I've seen a lot of first reactions where people think that this card ain't that great, but to be completely honest with you, I think he's pretty solid. He might not be a 3-of, but he has his uses, definitely. And of course, I will show you some in a couple of minutes. Next up is Your Majesty herself. DDD Zero Demise King Zero Machinex. She's a Dark Fiend Pendulum Effect monster with a scale of 0 and level of 8. Also, she has the biggest attack stat from our main deck currently, with an attack of a whopping 3000, but her defense is 0. First off, level 8 and a scale 0 is the best thing that can ever happen. Because of lands, this makes this card a perfect body to go into a level 10 Synchro DDD play. Also, level 8 is a perfect number to go to a rank 8 Xyz play, so just think of all the possibilities this enables. But now, let's look at the effects. So, if you scale her, you can set a Dark Contract directly from a deck. I repeat, directly from your deck. And that contract will be live as well. This right here is Blue Ice level support. So with that, she's basically the perfect combo starter out of our deck right now. Because if you use the Dark Contract with the Zero King in conjunction to her, this is gonna be the most awesome line ever. And you will see it soon too. Her monster effect is even more hilarious, because this is such a creative way of interruption. So basically, if any of our DDDs on the field is destroyed or a contract is popped, well, you can special her out of the face-up extra deck. And when you do that, she can non-target pop a card on the field. Any card on the field that doesn't have pop protection can be popped with her. This means that you can use her as not only an extension piece for us, but as a disruption in the opponent's turn. Like KONAMI, what? This is Wakaushi level support just for DDDs. This is sick, and I'm all here for it. Mind you, this is only the 3rd card we're looking at right now. We still have 6 to go. So let's see what's still in store for us. Introducing DD Great Dimension King Arc Crisis. Yeah, this goes without explanation. That's just the cover card, 100%. So KONAMI decided to give Armor 2 arms, 2 legs, and a cape and a sword, give him 4k attack and defense, make him a Fiend Fusion Pendulum effect with a scale of 13 and a level 12. If you would ever get him on the scale, he can theoretically pen out Rage. Just saying. So now let's look into what his intended uses are. So his pen effect basically reads that you can pop a certain amount of contracts for cost, in turn special out the same amount of Doom armors in your extra deck or deck. Yes, you've heard him right. Yes, you're not imagining that. So when you're able to, you could special out a dark armor, a bright armor, a purple armor, and the main deck Doom armors from your deck. If you have enough contracts, that is. Okay, so now let's get this out of the way first. Yes, this guy is the Zark equivalent for our DDD deck, but his monster effect makes him an awesome OTK machine. Because if you special that guy out, he will just simply mass negate the opponent's monsters. So it's basically a skill drain on legs, but one-sided. Does that sound familiar? Well, yeah, sounds like Plasma to me. But not only that, this guy's hands are rated E for everyone, because this guy can attack each of your opponent's monsters. And with an attack stat of 4k, yeah, this is gonna hurt a lot. Okay, so how do you get this guy out? Well, because we play DDD, this guy needs 4 materials. 4 Fiends, 1 Fusion, 1 Synchro, 1 Xyz, and 1 Pen. This might sound super expensive, but if you think about it, it's super easy to do. And it's not like you're gonna summon him out in the first turn. He's clearly meant to be a 2nd turn or like a 3rd turn end piece. And to ease the requirements, of course, KONAMI added the clause that this can be contact fused by just simply banishing the material from the graveyard or the field and calling it a day. But keep in mind that you can summon him twice or something, because you can only summon him once that turn. Would be pretty funny though if you summon like 2 or 3 of these guys. Anyways, I digress. So if someone really managed to break our board but didn't manage to kill us, he is in for a rude awakening if he doesn't have an answer to our crisis. Next up, DDD Founder King Clovis. Well, here we arrive with our first level 6 Synchro. So Clovis is a Fiend Synchro effect monster with a Dark attribute. He needs 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuners, but they are generic, so you don't have to use DD specifically. And he has an attack of 2100 and a defense of 1900. This isn't really that big, but he's meant to be an extension piece. How, you might ask? Well, this guy can not only manage to revive from the graveyard, but from the banishment as well. On summon, that is. That means you don't have to special any DD from the hand or something to trigger its revive effect. But you can only revive from the grave if you control a Dark Contract. That is not that big of a downside. That's not even a downside. Our combos do it either way. But primarily his revive target is usually lands, because with lands you can either turn him into a Siegfried or extend your combos even further. He has a secondary effect as well. If Clavos gets somehow banished, you can trigger his effect so that your DD monsters gain piercing damage for only this turn. Does that sound familiar to you? Well, yeah, this is Beowulf's effect, but on an awesome extender piece. Speaking of extender pieces, moving on to DDD Wisdom King Solomon. Solomon is our new rank 4 Dark Fiend Xyz monster with 1800 attack and 2500 defense. He needs 2 level 4 DD monsters. And when you activate his effect, you can search any DD card from the deck. Yes, that includes Headhunt, and the new DD monster, and the new Spell Dark Contract. And yes, you can use him to overlay into Tell, and he has a funny banish effect as well. So if this guy gets banished, you can target one of your DD monsters, and upon destroying any of your opponent's monsters, that one DD monster will inflict half of the attack points as burn damage as well. Does that burn effect sound familiar to you? Yes, this is in fact Purple Armor's burn effect, but written on Battle Destruction instead. Now you might have realized what Konami is actually up to, because with all these banish effects and our crisis, we have crazy board breaking opportunities. So let's assume in our first turn our board gets outed. I don't know, by having a Dark Rule no more and a Raigeki combo or something, and you don't have recoverability anymore, and your opponent started to swarm the field. In that case, usually you will just lose, but because of our crisis, it's not like that anymore. What happens now is you contact fuse the spare materials laying around in your graveyard or your field by banishing them, and optimally you use Clovis and Solomon as Synchro and Xyz targets. Then Arc Crisis hits the field, negates any monster on the opponent's side of the field. You trigger Clovis because he got banished. Then you trigger Solomon, and Solomon then targets Arc Crisis. Now you have a monster that can attack any of the opponent's monsters, does piercing damage, and adds the on-pop burn effect. Okay, to summarize, if this chain of effects goes through, usually you will just win the game. So yeah, Arc Crisis and the other extenders now enable a lot of OTK lines. Next up is DDD Sky King Zeus Ragnarok. We have our own Zeus now, guys, and this dude is amazing. He's a Link 3 Dark Field effect monster with 2200 attack and needs 2+ DD monsters. And he has exactly 2 uses. The first one is the most insane one. By popping a DD or contract on the field as cost, you can pan summon twice. And now tell me again, what kind of link rating does Zeus have? 3, and all of his arrows are at the bottom. This right here is peak pendulum spam and makes us create boards that should be illegal. And you will see some shortly out of 1 card. Oh, and in addition to that, this guy has conveniently a quick effect as well. Which one, you might ask? Well, on quick effect, he can negate a handtrap activation by simply banishing a DD and contract from the graveyard. Yeah, I know, this guy reads custom. Just be careful that this negates the activation and not the effect. Speaking of custom, let's move on to our next Dark Contract. Dark Contract with the Zero King can pop a DD card on the field to special 1 DD out of the deck. You've heard me right, specialing out of the deck. With our cards in engine, we have our own Zodiac Barrage now. Of course, a slightly less good version because we need a specific card, being DDs, but still. Come on, it's Zodiac Barrage, but for DDs. What else can I say other than it's awesome? Keep in mind, however, that after you've used that contract, you are then locked into DDs. But that already happens with Gilgamesh, so we don't care. Oh, and of course, with all the excitement, I forgot to mention it's a continuous spell. The cool part with this one is it's always treated as a DD card as well. So you can search him pretty easily, just saying. So with that, we can now understand why Lady Machinex is actually our new 1-card combo. First things first, you're gonna scale the lady so that she can activate herself to set that contract directly to the field. And then you're gonna activate the Dark Contract with the Zero King so that you can special out the Kepler by popping her. And with the special out Kepler, you can now grab Gate, and with Gate, you can search for basically anything. And this is how the new 1-card combo starter Lady is used. Okay, lastly, Dark Contract with the different dimensions. It's a continuous trap, of course, and it reads, by shuffling 2 Dark Contracts, you can banish a card from the field or graveyard. So this card basically functions like half of a Chengying, or a DD Crow, or a Ragnarok, without attributing. The recursion of contracts is always nice, and it has an additional effect too. If this card gets popped, generally, like by you gain 500 life points. And if your opponent pops it, you gain additionally 500 life points as well. I know this sounds way more underwhelming than the other cards, but depending on the format, banishing from the graveyard can be actually huge. So it's generally nice to know that we still have this kind of option, if we really look for it. Okay, these are all the cards, and I bet you ask yourself how you might cram all these new cards into the deck because they're all great. Well, because of all these new possibilities, you can cut a lot of things actually. And I will present you which things you could cut, and I will show you some potential advantages and disadvantages of cutting them. Let's start from the top with the main deck slots. The most obvious cut is Lamia. Lamia is usually served as an extension piece for the Gates 1-card combo of Copper. Since Lance has the better level and has level modulation as an effect as well, it might be the better target, which is why she's gonna get cut, most likely. She can still have utility by offering hand extension and a discarding outlet, but if you don't need it, don't use her. Next one is Swirl Slime. This one is super controversial, so you can either decide to still play 3 or you just cut him out completely. Both positions are pretty valid. The reason for that in particular is that DDD doesn't play as many fusions anymore, so Swirl kinda becomes redundant because of it. So if you really want to strip it down, just do it. But for all the fusion bros out there, just keep him in. Next one is a controversial one as well. Since Copper in itself doesn't do anything, we can argue to cut him to at least 2 or even 1, because our 1-card combos are already strong enough, and Copper is usually used just as an extension piece. Okay, next one, Thomas. Thomas has been the bread and butter of the DDD deck since 5 years ago, but this time it reached its mileage. Usually he was used for the Gate 1-card combo as well, and sometimes used as a recovery piece, but since we already have way stronger 1-card combos now, and the recovery can be achieved by other tech cards, like the Defense Soldier or Patent License, Thomas becomes redundant as well. If you cut him out, you might lose recoverability, and if you know that you need that, just leave him in as well. And as long as you don't draw him, you might increase your ceiling as well. So this one's for you, ceiling bros. Lastly, to our Dark Contract with the Swamp King. The same reason applied to Swirl applies here too. Since we don't need 2 ganks in our combo anymore, we could decide to just cut out Dark Contract completely. This is generally advised if your extra deck consists of primarily Synchro or Xyz DDDs. But if you still want to keep your Fusion DDDs around, you have to keep it. Also, it gives you fallback if you need another way to fuse into small Genghis if Necro Slime got banished beforehand. Now to the extra deck. The first one is obvious, Gilgamesh. We don't play 3 anymore, we just replace 1 with the Zeus. But if your DDD version is super pendulum heavy for some reason, you have to keep in 3. Then small Genghis. If you play Clovis, the second copy of small Genghis is kind of redundant. So if you're not afraid of losing a bit of follow-up, you can cut him out freely. Lastly, Small Caesar. The same reason applies. Small Caesar usually was used to search for a Swamp King, but since the second Small King is not needed anymore, Small Caesar becomes redundant as well. So if you don't need many contracts, cut him. Okay, on to an example deck core. As you can see, if you really want to keep it minimal, you can strip the deck down. And the only issue of doing that is you will be way more susceptible to hand traps. And that I can guarantee you. So be smart about cutting. Especially since our deck theory is still not solved, as the cards are very fresh. So the core that you have seen is not the end-all be-all core. There's always room for improvement, especially for deck building. So I will make a separate video after the dust has settled, because right now it's way too early to draw any kind of conclusion. But I still want to give you guys a reasoning behind the choice of my cards. So my core consists of 22 main deck slots and 12 extra deck slots, so you still have a lot of room to fill in. This is kept intentional since a lot of you guys may want to prefer more hand traps over more engine starters, and others want to have more engine starters than more hand traps, for example. I've cut out Swirl Slime completely since I only rely on Genghis, and as you can see, I've cut down the amount of counts. The reason being that Count's specialing effect when it is in your hand requires a DD to pitch. And that is a problem because we don't have many discard targets. The only 2 in this deck being Lance and Necro. But I still have to play him since I want to be safe from Nibiru when I play the 1-card gate combo, and you will see in a minute what I mean by that. There are 3 other deck choices that you might be concerned about. The first being Authors, the second being Defense Soldier, and the third being the Dark Contract with the Witch instead of Headhunt. So let me go over them one by one. Authors is there to have more access to Siegfried, even though I still have access to Siegfried because of Lance. This can totally be argued as a win more, and you can cut him for sure, since he feels super bricky when you draw him. But I feel way safer to have an alternative line to Siegfried when my Lance gets banished, because to be honest, he's one of the primary targets to get banished in our deck. And at worst, he's a searchable MST and a specialer of 0 Machinex, by the way, which is still not that bad. Moving on to Defense Soldier. Defense Soldier could be cut for sure. However, he's the only engine piece that allows us to have certain combo lines that are super interesting, such as certain one-card combo anti-Nibiru lines or a Meowls line, which gives your opponent only 1 draw while still ending on almost full board. This increases our ceiling by a lot, and since he's level 4, when we brick with him, at least we can try to combo. And of course, I will show you some brick combos with him as well. Now I think the hottest choice out of all, Dark Contract with the Witch. This goes out to all my Duel Links homies. Dark Contract with the Witch is the perfect addition to our low ceiling boards, since its Raigeki Break effect gives us more layers to our end board. Also, it insulates us from Dark Rule no more in almost any one-card combo that has a Siegfried on it. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. And it plays into the Charmies better as well. But if you don't feel like it, just cut it off. Or you can exchange it with other Dark Contracts. For example, Swamp King, Eternal Darkness, or Eros. Swamp King gives us more fusion access in case of our Necro Slime being banished. Eternal Darkness is a floodgate that protects us against Super Poly, a Sphere Mode, or targeting with spell or traps. And Eros is a Royal Decree that insulates our place from any trap effect. And that for every turn, mind you. But ultimately, just experiment for yourself and see what does work and what doesn't work. Now the moment that you have been waiting for, the combos. But before that, remember the card placement. And this time it's especially important because the field gets cluttered. Okay, let's do some cooking, shall we? Starting off with Gate. First, activate Gate so that you can search for Lady. Now scale Lady to activate the effect to set 0. Activate 0 to special out Count. Counter will now search for a copper. Now normal summon copper to Foolish Lance. Activate Lance to revive itself by popping a contract. Now make it a level 4 and overlay into Solomon. Activate Solomon to search for Gryphon. Now go into Tell and afterwards link them off into Gilga. Remember to chain block first and now set Authors and Ragnar. And Tell Foolishes Necro. Now special Gryphon and go into Zeus. Now Nibiru doesn't matter. Now you could argue that they could have nipped us earlier, but you will see in a minute why it doesn't matter. You go in with Necro into Genghis and then we're gonna pen summon out Gryphon. Genghis now revives Lance, and with both we go into Clovis. Clovis now revives Tell, and then we go into Big Caesar. Zeus now pops Tell, and we go chaining 1 Tell, chaining 2 Lady. Lady specials, Tell now pushes defense, and then we trigger Ragnar. Ragnar revives defense, we activate defense to special out Authors. Now we go into Siegfried, and trigger defense from Grave so that we can get a scale back. Now we pen summon Gryphon and Authors. We go into a small Caesar and link them off into Gilga. With Caesar we get Witch, we go into Machinex and set Witch. And with that, our opponent has to work through 10 interruptions. And because of which, we can respond to Dark Ruler. And negate it. And yes, every one-card combo does that. If you go almost uninterrupted, that is. Let's see what an early nib looks like, because this line is super sturdy. This is basically the same combo again, but I just wanted to show you how it looks like when our opponent nips us in the earliest moment, meaning when Tell comes and hits the field. And in this example, you will understand why we choose Count. Okay, here it comes, the nib. Okay, because of this, we get a fat token. So what's the game plan? We're gonna still foolish our Necro anyways, and we go into Genghis with Tell and Necro. Now we're gonna special out Gryphon, and then we're gonna revive our lands again. After that we go into our Clovis, and with Clovis we're gonna revive our Tell. Tell and Clovis go into Gilga, we go chaining 1 Tell, chaining 2 Gilga. Gilga sets Authors and Ragnar, and we're gonna foolish defense. We're gonna pen summon out Gryphon, and then we're gonna revive our defense with Ragnar. Then we go into Zeus. With defense, we're gonna special out Ragnar. Ragnar revives Genghis, we overlay into Big Caesar, then we're gonna tribute the defense to banish the Nibiru. Authors now pops Ragnar and Authors. Lady triggers and now specials herself. Zeus now pops Lady. Lady scales herself. Now we activate defense so that we can grab our Ragnar back and scale him. Now we're gonna pen summon Gryphon and Authors. We go into Siegfried, and then we overlay into Machinex, playing through Nibiru like it's nothing with 1 card. And that's the same for every situation, you're gonna see it. Speaking of which, let me show you. As per usual, this is basically the same combo again, but this time we're gonna let our opponent nib us when Gilgamesh hits the field. And not gonna lie, I still can't believe it that this 1 card combo is so So resilient against Nibiru. Can you imagine how resilient it would be when we have 2 cards instead of 1? Yeah, you're gonna see it anyways, how many handtraps we can actually take. Okay, now Gilga hits the field. Chilling 1 tail, chilling 2 Gilga, and now Nibiru. We're gonna set Authors and Ragnar again, and then we're gonna Foolish Necro. We go into Genghis with Tal Necro, then we're gonna special out Gryphon in hand so that we can revive our lands. We go into Clovis, and then we're gonna revive our Tal. Then we overlay into Big Caesar, and Ragnar rebounds our Gilga. Authors will now pop Talon itself. Now chaining 1 Tal, chaining 2 Lady. Lady pops Nibiru, and then we're gonna Foolish Defense. Defense now grabs us Count. We go into Zeus, and then we're gonna scale Count and go into Pendulum Summon. We synchro into Siegfried and then overlay into Markinex. We still have 4 cards in hand and 6 interruptions after Nibiru. This is unbelievable. Speaking of, we're gonna do the same combo again, but this time we're gonna nib right before we go into Zeus. Because there's no way that we come back after that, right? Well, there is. And there is a lot that comes back afterwards. This goes to show you how powerful the support is. With 9 new support cards, our 1-card combos are as strong, if not even stronger, than our 3-card combos from way back then. Because look at this, we don't even lose to Nib, we eat it. Okay, this is the moment right before Zeus. We're gonna special out Gryphon to go into Zeus, but we get Nib. But it doesn't matter anymore. Because now we just go into Genghis again with Tel, and then we're gonna special out our Gryphon by Pendulum Summoning, and then we're gonna revive our lands, and then we go into a Clovis, and so on and so forth. You already know this. Now we're gonna revive Gilga with Ragnar, overlay into Big Caesar, we go into Zeus, Tel now Foolish Defense, and check this out. Authors now pops both scales and now Lady specials. Lady now pops Nibiru, and Zeus is gonna pop Lady. Lady now triggers to scale herself, and now we're gonna use defense so that we can get our Ragnar back and scale it so that we can pen out Gryphon and Authors. We're gonna synchro into Siegfried, and then we're gonna overlay into Markinex. Okay, so Nibiru doesn't matter. What about Imperno and Gilgamesh? Speaking of, let me show you. We do the same combo line just like now. We go with Gate, and with Gate we grab us Lady. We scale Lady to activate her effect to set 0. With 0 we pop Lady to special out Count. Count will grab us Copper again. We normal Copper to Foolish Lands. With lands, we're gonna pop Gate to revive itself, but this time we're gonna special Lady right away. Now we're gonna increase lands to 4. We go into Solomon. We activate Solomon to grab us Gryphon. We go into Tel. We're gonna link off Lady and Tel into Gilga, chaining 1 Tel, chaining 2 Gilga, and it gets Imperm. With Tel, we're gonna Foolish Necro. With Necro, we go into Genghis. We're gonna special out Gryphon so that we can activate Genghis effect to revive lands. Then we go into Clovis and revive our Tel. Then we go into Caesar, then we go into our Zeus, and we go into Markinex. Just like that, we don't care about Imperm anymore. With Lady currently in the extra, we have 6 interruptions left. Gate is the only 1-card combo that plays on the Droll. We're gonna start the same as usual again, and here we get Droll. It's important to not panic, because we're gonna make it either way. We're gonna set 0, but this time 0 gets Copper. Copper now Foolishes lands. Lands pops the contract, brings itself back and triggers Lady. Copper and lands go into Clovis. Clovis now revives lands. We're gonna link off Clovis and Lady into Gilga. Gilga effect scales Lady and Ragnar. Now we're gonna pen summon Copper, and then we're gonna increase lands to 4. Now we go into Solomon, then into Tel. Tel now burns the opponent, and then we're gonna link him off into Zeus. Tel now Foolishes Necro. Then we go into Genghis. Now we're gonna revive Clovis with Ragnar. And Genghis now revives Tel. Now we go into Caesar and then into Markinex. And just like that, we have 6 interruptions under Droll with follow-up if we play Arc Crisis. That was just 1 card, mind you. Now let's look at some other cards. Moving on to the Kepler 1-card combo. We're gonna start off by normal summoning Kepler. Kepler effect, we're gonna grab us Gates, and with Gates, we're gonna grab us Lady. We're gonna activate Lady so that we can get us our 0, and with 0, we're gonna get us our Copper. Copper now Foolishes lands, as usual. And from here on out, it's basically the same combo. It's fascinating, isn't it? The more efficient a deck gets, the more streamlined the combos become. And as per usual, we're gonna set Authors and Ragnar. These 1-card combos feel almost the same every time. And now look at this, it's Zeus again, and Zeus negates Nibiru, of course. And as we've learned from the previous 1-card combo with Gate, it never matters when the Nibiru gets thrown, in the Kepler combo as well. because either way, the opponent, no matter what, will face Siegfried, Caesar and Machinex. But if the combo resolves, it gets even worse, because now we have 10 interruptions and we can play around Dark Ruler or sometimes Droplet, maybe. It depends on whether the opponent can discard a trap. So we link them off again, and then we're gonna grab Witch with Caesar, and then we're gonna overlay into Machinex and set our Witch. And just like that, we can play around Dark Ruler, no issues, with one card. And just to prove it to you that the normal one card combo of Kepler can play around Nibiru as well, I will show you. Let's assume again that our opponent is gonna use Nibiru when Tel hits the field. Now we go with the same procedure. Basically we go with Lady, and with Lady we go and get 0, and with 0 we're gonna pop Lady so that we can get our Copper. Copper now foolishes lands, and with lands we're gonna revive it back by popping our gates, and then we're gonna level him up to 4 and overlay him into Solomon. Solomon will grab us Gryphon, and then we go into Tel and try to link. But oh no, it's Nibiru. Anyways, we're gonna Foolish Necro, and then we go into Genghis by fusing it with Tel. Now we're gonna special out Gryphon, and then we go and revive our lands back, and with that we can go into our Clovis. Clovis then revives Tel. Then we're gonna link them both up into Gilga, and then we're gonna scale Authors and Ragnar. And then we're gonna Foolish our defense. Now we're gonna pen out our Gryphon, and then we're gonna revive our defense with Ragnar. Now we go into Zeus. Defense now specials Ragnar, and Ragnar now specials Genghis on summon. We overlay into Big Caesar, and then we're gonna go and banish Nibiru by tributing defense. Then we pop Authors and Ragnar. This now triggers Lady, and she specials herself. Zeus now pops Lady, and with that we're gonna use defense so that we can get our Ragnar. We're gonna scale Ragnar, and then we're gonna pen summon again, this time with Authors and Gryphon. And then we go into Siegfried, and then we overlay into Machinex, taking Nib like a champ. Anyways, let's say our opponent is bad with the timing, so we're gonna Nib here when Gilga hits the field. So the same as per usual, we go with Gate, and with Gate we go and grab Lady, and with Lady we go into 0. 0 now special outs Copper, and from here on out it's the same combo line again. I don't want to repeat myself too often, which is why I'm gonna just chill a bit before we gonna get nipped when Gilga hits the field. Now Gilga comes and we go chaining 1 Tel, chaining 2 Gilga. Oh no, this is a nib. Anyways, we still set Authors and Ragnar, and we're gonna Foolish Necro. We use Necro and Tel to go into Genghis, special out Gryphon, and then we're gonna revive lands. And guess what? We're gonna revive lands to what? Go into Clovis, that's right. And then we're gonna revive our Tel. This now triggers Ragnar to revive our Gilgamesh, and then we can go into our Big Caesar. We're gonna pop Authors and Tel, and this now triggers Lady. Tel chaining 1, Lady chaining 2. Lady comes out and pops Nibiru, and then we're gonna Foolish defense. And then we go into Zeus. With defense we get our Copper from the grave, and then we're gonna scale it to pen summon again. We go with the usual suspects, and we go into Siegfried and then overlay into Machinex. Now let's nib right before Zeus again and see what happens. Okay, we normal summon Kepler, and with that we go into Gate, and with Gate we go into Lady, just as usual. And then with Lady we go into 0, and use 0 to go into Copper. Copper then foolishes lands, and then we go lands effect so that it can revive itself and go into level 4. And from here on out, it's basically the same again. Remember to always scale Authors and Ragnar. Now we threaten Zeus by specialing out Gryphon, and oh no, now the Nibiru hits. Anyways, we're gonna use our Necro in the grave with Tel to go into Genghis, and we're gonna pen summon our Gryphon, and then we're gonna revive our lands again. Now we're gonna Synchro into Clovis, and then we're gonna revive our Tel. We overlay into Caesar to trigger Ragnar so that it revives our Gilga from the grave. With them we go into Zeus, and then we can Foolish our defense. Authors now pops both scales, and because of that Lady triggers and Lady will pop Nibiru. Now we're gonna use Zeus to pop our Lady, and Lady will scale herself, and defense grabs us Ragnar so that we can pen summon our Gryphon and Authors. Now we Synchro into Siegfried and overlay into Machinex. And as you can see, this is the second one card combo that just eats a Nibiru, no problem. Well, what about an Imperm on Gilga? Well, the start is always the same, so we're gonna grab us Gate, and with Gate we grab us Lady. And with Lady we'll get 0, and with 0 we get our Copper. Copper now foolishes lands, and with lands we're gonna revive it back by simply popping our contract, and then we go into level 4. But this time we're gonna trigger Lady. Now we go into Solomon to grab us Gryphon, but this time we play into Nibiru because of Lady. but it plays better around Imperm. We're gonna use Lady and Tell to go into Gilga, and it gets Imperm. The old time classic. Anyways, we're gonna Foolish our Necro, and with Tell and Necro we go into Genghis. And then we're gonna special out Gryphon so that it revives our lands. Now we go into Clovis, and with Clovis we go into our Tell. Now we overlay into Big Caesar, then we're gonna go into Zeus and overlay into Machinex. And just like that, 6 interruptions with Lady. On an Imperm Gilgamesh, mind you. Ladies are a new 1-card combo. With that we go into 0 immediately and go and get us Kepler. And with Kepler we go into Gate. We're gonna activate Gate so that we can get our Copper. Copper now foolishes lands. Lands now revives itself, and now we can go into level 4 and go into Solomon. With Solomon we're gonna grab us Gryphon. Then we go into Tell, and then we go into Gilga. Chaining 1 Tell, chaining 2 Gilga, and then we're gonna scale Authors and Ragnar and Foolish our Necro. Now we're gonna pen summon Gryphon, and then we go into Zeus. If he triggers Nibiru here, it doesn't matter, because we can negate it with Zeus. Now we use Necro and Tell to go into Genghis, and then we're gonna pen summon out Gryphon. Genghis then revives lands, and with lands we go into Clovis so that we can revive back our Tell. Now we overlay into Big Caesar and trigger Zeus to pop Tell. That will now trigger Lady. We go chaining 1 Tell, chaining 2 Lady. Tell now foolishes defense, and then we're gonna revive defense with Ragnar. Defense now specials out Authors. We're gonna synchro into Siegfried, and then we're gonna use defense so that we can grab us our Copper back and scale it. Now we're gonna pen summon again, but this time Authors and Gryphon, and then we're gonna overlay into Small Caesar. Then we go into Gilga to dump our Small Caesar. Small Caesar gets us Witch, and then we're gonna overlay into Machinex and set Witch. Our opponent drew Dark Ruler, no problem. We're gonna chaining 2 Witch, chaining 3 Siegfried. And just out of 1 card again, we have 10 interruptions. And yes, you have guessed it, this 1-card combo eats Nibirus as well. So let's assume one last time again that our opponent wants to nib us at Tell. So the same as per usual, with Lady we go into 0, and with 0 we go into Kepler, and with Kepler we get us our Gate, and then with Gate we get us our Copper. Now we're gonna Foolish lands, and it's basically the same. At this point, I really sound like a broken record because the lines are almost identical. Now we go into Tell, and then we get nipped. Oh no, a Nibiru. Anyways, we're gonna Foolish our Necro. With Necro and Tell, we go into Genghis. We're gonna special out our Gryphon, and then Genghis revives our lands. Then we synchro into Clovis, and then we're gonna revive with Clovis our Tell. We use both to go into Gilga. We go chaining 1 Tell, chaining 2 Gilga, and then Gilga sets Authors and Ragnar, and Tell foolishes defense. Now we're gonna pent out Gryphon, and then we're gonna revive defense with Ragnar. We go into Zeus immediately. Now we're gonna use defense to special out Ragnar, and Ragnar now revives Genghis. Now we overlay into Big Caesar, then activate Ragnar to tribute defense to banish the Nibiru. Now we go ahead and pop Authors and Ragnar. This will trigger Lady. Zeus now pops Lady to scale itself. Now we're gonna use defense to get back Ragnar, and then we're gonna scale Ragnar to then pen summon again into Authors and Gryphon. We go into Siegfried, and then we overlay into Machinex. And you've guessed it, the nib timing never matters. So I will show you what happens when they nib us at, let's say, Gilga again. As per usual, we're gonna start with Lady. Lady will set 0, 0 will get us Kepler, Kepler will get us Gates, Gates will get us Copper. Copper now foolishes lands, lands will then revive itself by popping Gates, and then it will increase itself by 4, go into Solomon, and then with Solomon we go and grab us Gryphon, and with Gryphon in hand we're gonna go and overlay Solomon into Tell. We're gonna link him off into Gilga, and then Nibiru hits the field. Oh no. Well, so anyways, we're gonna scale Authors and Ragnar, and then we're gonna foolish our Necro. Necro and Tell go into Genghis. We're gonna special out Gryphon, and Genghis will then revive lands, and then we go into our Clovis play. Clovis now revives Tell, and then we go into our Big Caesar. This will trigger Ragnar, and Ragnar will revive our Gilga. Authors will now pop Tell in itself. We go chaining 1 Tell, chaining 2 Lady. Lady will pop Nib. Tell now foolishes defense. We go into Zeus, and then we're gonna use defense so that we can grab us our Copper to scale it so that we can pen summon our Gryphon and Authors. Then we synchro into Siegfried and overlay into Machinex. And just like that, 6 interruptions after Nibiru again. Okay, now let's assume one last time that the nib comes right before we go into Zeus in our usual 1-card combo, right? And don't worry, this will be the last time you will see this line, but I want to get the point across that regardless of any 1-card combo, Nibiru is never a threat to us. Matter of fact, after these new cards released, I will never respect Nibiru again. Because as you can see, our deck can now eat it like a champ. Now remember to always scale Authors and Ragnar, and then we're gonna Foolish our Necro. Okay, with our Gryphon now special, we're gonna threaten Zeus and we get nipped. Now we're gonna use Necro and Tell to go into our Genghis, and then we're gonna pen summon out our Gryphon to revive back our lands. Lands and Gryphon go into Clovis, and then Clovis revives Tell. We go into Big Caesar, and then we're gonna trigger Ragnar so that it revives our Gilga. Then we go into Zeus immediately, and then we're gonna Foolish our defense. Now Authors will pop both scales. This will trigger Lady, Lady will then pop Nib. Zeus now pops Lady, and Lady will then scale itself. And with defense, we're gonna grab us Ragnar back so that we can scale it, and we can pen summon into Gryphon and Authors. We use both to go into Siegfried, and then we overlay into Machinex. It just feels so good to not care about Nib. Speaking about not caring, the Imperm line is the same as usual again too. And the start is always the same. We're gonna go into the 0, and with 0 we go into our Kepler. Kepler will grab us Gate, and with Gate we're gonna grab us Copper. Now of course, what does he Foolish? Lands obviously. But since we play around Imperm, remember that we're gonna special out our Lady again. Okay, now we go into our Solomon play. We're gonna link off Lady and Tell, and then we're gonna go chaining 1 Tell, chaining 2 Gilga, and then it gets to Imperm. Tell now Foolish Necro, and both go into Genghis, and then we're gonna special out our Gryphon. Genghis now triggers and revives our lands. Then we go into Clovis, Clovis now revives our Tell. Now we go into our Zeus, then to our Big Caesar, and then overlay into Machinex. And just like that, we just ate an Imperm without even caring. Okay, but what if it's Imperm and Nib? Well, in that case we can still combo, but we lose access to Siegfried sadly. This start is always the same, but let's assume we're gonna get nipped around Gilga, and Gilga gets negated as well. As usual, we're gonna Foolish our land so that we can go into our Solomon play to grab us Gryphon, and then we go into our Tell, and then we're gonna link it to Gilga. And let's see what then happens. We go chaining 1 Tell, chaining 2 Gilga, and now chaining 3 Nib, and chaining 4 Imperm. This might look rough, but it really isn't. So anyways, we're gonna Foolish our Necro as usual, and Necro and Tell go into our Genghis, and then we're gonna special out our Gryphon so that we can revive our lands, and then we go into our Clovis, and with Clovis we're gonna revive our Tell. Now we overlay into Big Caesar, and then we're gonna overlay into Machinex. This is sadly as far as we can go here. But 5 interactions are okay. Speaking of interactions, let's say how this performs against Fuwa. This time when you scale Lady, you're gonna grab Gate instead, and with Gate you're gonna grab Kepler. We're gonna normal summon Kepler so that we can grab our 0. And now we're gonna activate 0 so that it can special 1 DD out. And Count now grabs us a normal summon as follow, for example Kepler. And then we're gonna link off into Gilga. Gilga now scales Lady and Ragnar. And lastly, we overlay into Machinex. We trade in 3 draws for 5 interactions with follow-up. But rest assured, this is the weakest Charmy line out of there, because the other ones we simply don't care. To prove it to you, let's show how many draws a Meowls gets you. We're gonna start off by scaling Lady. Lady will get us Gate. Gate will get us Kepler. Kepler will be normal summon so that we can get to 0. We're gonna activate 0 so that we can pop Lady so that we can special out Count. Count will get us defense. We go into Gilga. We scale Copper and Ragnar. We're gonna pen out defense. Defense is gonna special out Copper. Copper will now Foolish Necro. Now we go into Solomon. Solomon will grab us Gryphon. Now we overlay into Tell. Tell will now burn the opponent. Now we go into Small Gangs by using our Copper. Then we're gonna special out Gryphon. We go into Zeus immediately. Trigger Zeus to pop Tell. We go chaining 1 Tell, chaining 2 Lady. Lady will special herself. Tell now Foolishes lands. Genghis now revives lands. This will give the opponent 1 draw. We're gonna use defense to get our Count. We're gonna scale Count and pen summon out our Gryphon. Now we go into Clovis, and then we overlay into Big Caesar and Machinex. 7 interruptions for 1 draw. Purulia is the one Charmy that we never care about. We're gonna start off by scaling Lady. Lady will activate and set 0. 0 activates and specials out Kepler. Kepler activates and searches out Gate. Gate now fetches Copper. Now we're gonna normal summon Copper and Foolish lands. We summon lands and we're gonna pop our Gate, and then we're gonna increase him to level 4 to go into Solomon, but this time we grab Ragnarok. Now we go into Tell, and after we go into Tell, we go into Gilgamesh. Chaining 1 Tell, chaining 2 Gilga, but this time we're gonna set Authors and Gryphon. We're gonna activate Gryphon, pop itself, and target Gilga. Then we scale Ragnar, and then we're gonna go into small Genghis with Tel and Necro, and then we go and pan summon out Gryphon. Genghis now revives lands, and Gryphon and lands go into Clovis. Clovis now revives Tel. With Tel and Gilga we go into Zeus, and then we're gonna Foolish defense. Now we overlay into Big Caesar and revive defense with Ragnar. Defense now specials authors. Now we go into Siegfried. Zeus now pops Ragnar, and then Lady gets specialed out. Lady now pops itself, and then it scales itself, and then we're gonna grab our Ragnar back with defense and scaling. Then we're gonna pan out Kepler, Gryphon and Thomas. We go into Small Caesar, link them away with our second Gilgamesh, then go and grab our Witch, and then we overlay into Machinex and set Witch. Our opponent got 1 draw, but we got 9 interruptions, and even the Dark Ruler can't save him, chaining 2 Witch, chaining 3 Siegfried. Yeah, I would say Purulia is not that great against us, just like Nibiru. But let's make it more crazy, shall we? Now let's assume the opponent drew the nuts, but we open with 2 cards. We're gonna start with Lady. Lady now gets us Errors. Now we're gonna activate Gates, and with Gates we're gonna grab us Kepler. We're gonna normal summon Kepler. Kepler will now get us 0. We're gonna activate 0, and 0 will now pop Lady so that it can special out Copper. It gets Impulse, but it doesn't matter because of Errors. This time Copper will Foolish Gryphon. We immediately go into Gilga, and with Gilga we're gonna scale Authors and Ragnar. The opponent can attempt to imperm, but because of Errors it doesn't matter. Errors now pops both contracts aside from Errors. This will trigger Lady, and then we go into Zeus. Now we trigger Ragnar to revive our Gryphon, and then it gets nipped, and Zeus just negates it. Gryphon now comes out and searches us Defense Soldier. Now we're gonna pen summon Defense Soldier out, and Copper. Defense Soldier will trigger and special out Authors. Now we overlay into Solomon. Solomon now gets us Scale. Now we overlay into Tel and burn the opponent. Then we're gonna use defense to get our Copper back. We special Scale and go into Clovis. Clovis now revives Defense Soldier again. We are now popping Tel. And Tel now foolishes Necro. Now we use Tel and Necro to go into Genghis. We go into our Small Caesar, then to our Big Caesar. We're gonna scale Copper, pan summon out Scale and Authors. We're gonna increase Scale's level to 4 and go into Siegfried, and Scale will now pitch back Ragnar, and we overlay into Machinex. 9 interactions with a Trap Negate and Lady in the face-up extra deck. Errors is insane against trap heavy hand traps, so side deck wisely. What about Super Pauline Sphere mode? Any 2-card combo can play around it, and I will prove it with the weakest one. And that is Defense Soldier and Gryphon. By scaling Gryphon we can special it out with Defense Soldier, go into Solomon. With Solomon we can grab us 0. Now we overlay into Tel and activate 0, and with 0 we're gonna pop Tel so that we can special out our Count. We go chaining 1 Tel, chaining 2 Count. Count will get us Scale, and we're gonna Foolish Necro. We're gonna special out Scale. Now we link into Gilga, and Gilga now scales Lady and Ragnar. We're gonna go into Genghis with Necro and Tel. Now we're gonna pen out Scale, and now we're gonna revive with Genghis our Gryphon. We're gonna go chaining 1 Ragnar, chaining 2 Gryphon. Gryphon will get us Authors, and then we're gonna special out Solomon, and then we're gonna special out Authors. Defense Soldier will get us Count. We go into Zeus with Solomon, then we synchro into Clovis, and go chaining 1 Clovis, chaining 2 Scale. Scale pitches back Lady, and Defense Soldier gets revived. Then we overlay into Small Caesar, and then into Big Caesar. We're gonna scale back Lady, then we overlay into Machinex. We're gonna activate Lady so that we can get Eternal Darkness, and then we're gonna pop Lady with Zeus. Now we're gonna scale back Count, and then we're gonna pen summon out Scale and Authors. Scale now increases its level to 4, and then we go into Siegfried. And this is our end board. Our opponent now has to play through 11 interruptions and Eternal Darkness. But since it's the weakest combo, it dies to Nib. This is it. This is the first impression of the new support. And as you have seen, I give my full approval of the new employees. The new cards offer insane consistency and ceiling upgrades that we have never seen before. But since the cards are quite fresh, I can only wholeheartedly recommend you the ratios of 2 cards. I know for a fact that Lady will be played at 3 and Lance will be played at 1. All the other cards that I've used or shown in my combo so far need way more testing that I like to do. So if there are any updates, I will let you know for certain. Because in the next couple of months, I will be busy theory crafting about this deck. So, how did it improve our deck rating? Well, as you can see, our Lady gives us way more consistency, our new cards enable us new defense lines, make us more versatile, more offensive, and it even decreases our difficulty a bit. Which is why I came to the conclusion that we are definitely rogue tier. Depending on the meta, of course, but yeah, still. So our opponents better be prepared, because these corporate demons aren't dying on Gilga in perms anymore. We are going to achieve supremacy pretty easily. And with that being said, this has been DD Dreamer, over and out.